Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is going to be a very different video to what I normally do. I want to go through how I built a business in content creation to earn 6 figures in 12 months. This is not a flex video. This is actually more a video about trying to help encourage other content creators and inform them in terms of some of the steps I took and mistakes I made. Or it might just pique your interest if you're just kind of keen to see what goes on in the background with someone who does the type of work that I do. Before I get into the content, I know what it's like to have nothing. I have, probably about 16 years ago, I had a business that was failing. I was literally on the verge of going into bankruptcy. I was filing papers for that. I had to move in with my family into my in-laws, and it was a really, really tough time. And I actually managed to find a new role, and I worked my way out of that. And it was a really tough few years. So I know what it's like to have basically no income and nothing in the bank, and to be literally worrying day to day around cash. I also know what it's like to have a decent income with a normal job, which is what I had before I took this on. So if anything, taking this on was a pretty scary move for me because of everything that I could lose that I'd already built up over the last kind of 15 years. So let's get into it. Let's get into some of the kind of details. What gives me the right to say anything here to you guys? Well, for 17 years, I was a sales leader. So the role I got into was sales, and I built my way up to run professional sales teams. Part of that, I built a multi-million-pound division in a blue chip company from scratch. So that's a pretty crazy achievement in any type of sales world. I've been a sales director with multi-million-pound contracts, which I've had to go out and win. So it's not like just babysitting. It's going out and getting those contracts. However, I had zero experience in content creation, the technology that's required to do this type of stuff, the software that you use to do this type of stuff, the equipment that I needed. So I was literally starting from scratch, zero experience at all in this space. 3 things I'm going to cover off in this video. What's the approach that I took, and do I think it's the right approach? What's my time investment versus my earnings for different areas of business that I've got with content creation? That one's probably going to be pretty interesting for most people. Most people probably have got a very different perception of this. Then lastly, I'm just going to finish off with what would I do differently and a couple of kind of conclusions. Now, at this point, what I'm going to ask you to do, this is outside of my niche for YouTube. So YouTube algorithm's going to be like, what's going on, Hell Hades? Why are you doing this crazy video? Can I ask you to like the video? Can I ask you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already? And can I also ask you to share this video if you enjoy it? Twitter, share it with your different social medias, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you've got a kind of group of people that might be interested in this type of thing, share it. Let's try something different. Let's see if we can blow up the YouTube algorithm by doing something very different. So let's talk about then, what's the right approach? What did I do? And it's 4 key things for me. I laid a foundation. I laid a really solid foundation in one particular content area. I do a ton of research, and I researched all the time, and I still do it. It's a really hugely important part of the approach of being a content creator. The third thing for me is about mindset. And I'll go into that in some detail, but the positive versus negative mindset as a content creator, as an influencer, as someone who is out there in the public eye is huge. It's a massive part of this role. And then lastly, I'll talk about how I diversified my business to be able to hit that kind of 6-figure number. So let's talk about foundations then. Firstly, I started with YouTube. And honestly, I started YouTube as a hobby alongside a successful career. I've always been a huge gamer, and I was playing a game and I was like, you know what, I feel like I can add some value to the community here. I'm going to try uploading a couple of videos and just see if I can make something happen. I had no expectations of this becoming a role, like replacing my job, my profession. Zero expectation of that. But what I did was, I started with YouTube, which has got an algorithm which actually gives you a chance to be found. Okay, if you start with something like Twitch, there's no algorithm there. So you're kind of just sitting there with no viewers, hoping something's going to happen. YouTube, you can make something happen yourself. I followed a really strict kind of plan. So I do consistent uploads. For me, it was daily. I did a daily upload of a video, and then I advertised that video like hell anywhere that I could across the communities that I play in. I am super active, and I always have been in the community. So when I uploaded videos, I made sure that I replied to people that, you know, put the time in to actually comment to me. On Discords, on Facebooks, anywhere like that, Reddit, I made sure that I was as active as possible so that people started to know who I was and start to be interested in my opinion about different things. I continuously improved. So if I look at my first videos versus my videos now, my first videos are actually shocking, and I cannot believe I got any views. They're really bad. And honestly, it's incredible to see the path of how far you can improve your thumbnails, your quality of video, your editing, everything around it. So continuous improvement. I mean, it's just a valid thing in anything in life, but certainly with this, it was huge for me. And then the last thing is be realistic. So, you know, don't expect yourself to get thousands and thousands of views in your first few days, in your first few weeks, maybe in your first few months, because it takes time to be recognized. It takes time to be realized as someone that's got a voice and someone that should be heard. So be realistic in your goals, but absolutely set goals. It's a really important part of being a content creator, or really any type of career change, life change. Set yourself goals and check yourself off against those goals. If you've got a goal to aim for and it's a realistic goal, then you can throw everything towards the next one, the next goal. And for me, my goal actually ended up being 100,000 subscribers in 12 months. And I ended up doing it in 13 months. So it was solid. I didn't quite hit it. So foundations were one thing. The next thing for me is around research. So have a look out there. There's plenty of content creators already out there. Who do you admire? Why do you admire them? What do they do that you really enjoy? What do you think that they could do better? Yeah, so find 3 or 4 people that you can try and experiment your style and kind of mix in some of their style. Understand what sort of channel you are going to be. Are you an educational channel? Are you going to be like a comedy channel? Are you going to be like a highlights reel? Are you going to be a reaction channel? And that's going to change over time. You need to understand what your viewers actually want. So, and that's often different to what you want. That's often different to what you want to do content for. You might start in a direction. You need to listen to feedback. You need to look at the way the community is talking, and then flex your content around what people actually want to see. Because ultimately, if people don't come and watch your videos, you don't have a career as a content creator. And with that, it's then saying, well, what's my niche within my area? And what can I do to actually try and drive a channel outside of the norm to create my own community? What already works? So going and looking at other content creators and seeing which type of videos, what type of videos actually get some traction, get some views, and then flip it and get your own style of approach to a similar theme. Okay, if people are watching a video for one reason, then if you create a video in the same type of style, but with your own spin, the chances are you're going to get some sort of traction on your video as well to get eyes onto your channel to then be able to start to grow. And the other thing you need to ask yourself is your niche already saturated? And if it is, what are you doing differently that actually gets you started, or should you start somewhere completely different to that? That's a question you just got to ask yourself. So let's get on to mindset. I'm pretty lucky that I can choose my mindset and I choose positivity almost all the time. That's in my blood, that's in my personality, and a lot of people don't have that ability. If you decide to choose negativity a lot, this probably isn't for you, honestly, because it is a tough old gig until you start doing well. And then when you start doing well, it's a tough old gig because you've got to try and consistently keep it up. This never gets easier. As you get bigger, it doesn't get easier. It gets harder. Act, don't react. This is something that I absolutely live by. So if I see a situation flaring, what I'd rather do is act. Do something to change it. Do something to change me. Do something to change a direction. Don't wait for something to slap you in the face before you move on and deal with it. Otherwise, it's going to be a big old stinger. So make sure that you're the person who's in the driving seat. You're the person who's driving things forward. Be consistent. And with that, be real. So if you're trying to be a false personality, some people do it and they do it really well, by the way. But if you're trying to do that over a long period of time, chances are that's really difficult to do. And it's actually really tiring to do. So for me, one of the things that's worked for me is just be myself, call it as I see it. The other thing, which is huge, my wife could not do this job. She couldn't do it because she cannot take a lot of negativity, and you will get people that just dislike your content. You'll get it, and you'll be frustrated by some silly comments that you see, and you'll want to react to those comments and be like, "Hey, hold on, you've got it wrong. That's not who I am." You just got to prepare yourself to have some people that just don't like you. You also got to prepare yourself to have some people that just like your competitors, you know, your colleagues, if you like, who are doing the similar content, and therefore because they like them more, they dislike you as a natural thing. It's like a pack mentality. So don't let that get to you. Honestly, it's probably the hardest thing as a content creator or someone who's just in the kind of public eye in some sort of way to deal with. And a lot of people can't handle it mentally. It's challenging at times. So how do I actually make the money then? What did I do? I diversified my business, and I did it kind of early. So my foundation was in YouTube. I've already spoken about that. I then diversified into Twitch, and Twitch is kind of a natural evolution, I guess, because you know, if you're doing a gaming channel, actually gaming is really popular in Twitch. That's similar with a lot of different content, by the way. But streaming the content that you're going to do videos about is a good way to diversify. But I would definitely do it in that order. Once you've got yourself a YouTube following, you can actually grow a Twitch base way more comfortably than doing it the other way around. I opened up some merch, and yeah, interestingly, we kind of developed the Hell Hades brand. And this is all about diversifying to build a brand. It's not about diversifying to have 5 silos of different income. I built a website. I never thought I was going to have a website until probably 6 months ago. And then I was like, okay, well, we can try it. But again, I didn't know enough to realize that it's a valid source of income for a brand. So we've got a website. And then the last one is you can get sponsorships for either different games or different videos or what have you. So sponsorships can be another chunk. Now, what I'd like you to do at this time, comment below, what percentage split of my earnings do you think come from YouTube, Twitch, merchandise, a website, and sponsorships? And also, which ones do you think take more of my time up? So let's move on to it then. Time versus earnings. This one for me is really important if you're going to become a content creator, because anyone who says to you, you know what, this is an easy gig, I'm just going to do a couple of hours a week, I'll do a video, put it out, and then I'm going to sit there in my chair and reap the rewards, chances are you won't make it. You probably won't make it. I'm going to go through in this section, how much time do I spend and what do I do in all of these different areas of content, or in terms of my diversified business. And then we're going to show off where the earnings actually come from. And I think a lot of you will be surprised. So YouTube. So I grew from 0 experience, 0 subs to 100K subs in 13 months. And what did I do? So I uploaded 846 videos in 64 weeks. So that's an average of 13 a week, almost 2 a day. It's probably too much. It's more than the average person would do. It's more than the average sane person would even contemplate. But don't forget, I was coming from a position where I had a strong income and I'm the breadwinner for the family. So I was absolutely, and am absolutely making sure that I could replace that income and stay relevant and stay strong in my field and all these different things. So for me, it was a case of work harder and make sure that I stay as relevant as possible in my field. Okay. All of my income through YouTube is actually based on ads. So if you watch an ad on this video, I'll get whatever it is. I don't even know what it is, like a couple of pennies or something. Basically, I get an amount per 1,000 views of people watching that ad. I've got another video, which I'll link at the end, which actually goes into the nitty gritty of the income for different videos and how that works. So I prep the video. I record the video, I edit it, I render it, I build thumbnails for it, I upload it to YouTube, I respond to comments on YouTube, and I monitor how it's doing. I'd say this is like a generous 2 to 4 hours. If I really was talking about how much time I spend in responding to comments, checking comments, monitoring the video, it's potentially more than that. But 2 to 4 hours per video. So now if you think to yourself, I was doing YouTube for 3 months while still doing a full-time job. Basically, it was like having 2 jobs. It was like running 2 jobs, and it is incredibly tough to start with. Incredibly tough. I now get support via somebody else because I'm a larger channel and because I've got more means to do it. But I now get support on probably 2 to 4 of those videos a week from someone who does some of the editing. So I still do all of that stuff myself on about 8 videos a week. So if we talk about Twitch then, Twitch, I have been streaming 5 nights a week, and I do generally 3 hours on a stream. Now, the 3 hours on a stream do not represent my actual time that I invest into Twitch, because if you just rock up and play a game, chances are you don't get many viewers and you don't get a very interactive viewership. So I'd probably spend another hour on average per day prepping for whatever I'm going to do on Twitch that day. So probably all in 4 hours a day that I stream on Twitch. And my earnings through Twitch fluctuate. So they fluctuate depending on how many people subscribe to the channel, what level of subscription they do. So although I've got 20,000 followers, and on average I get over 600 viewers a stream, that doesn't have any correlation to income. It's just, income is purely based on how many people decide to actually pay to subscribe. And on Twitch, you can watch for free all day, every day, no problem. So it's a different beast. Twitch is a different beast to YouTube. In terms of income, it's quite challenging to get an income from it. Certainly this kind of view of, well, you must get loads of donations, all this sort of stuff. No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Well, it doesn't happen to me anyway. It doesn't happen to me. So, but you can see here, like since March when I started streaming, I've had a pretty consistent viewership, and it's gradually growing over time. The third one then being merchandise. Really, I set this up as a bit of a gimmicky type thing, something which I thought would be fun to do, and it is. It's fun to do. It's fun to have merchandise. I've got merchandise of my own. Send it out as prizes and rewards, that type of thing. But really, it's not a huge money spinner, unless maybe you're a massive channel. My website. So this was something which I wasn't really prepared to do or understand, but it's genuinely an awesome kind of thing to be a part of. So, building a website around a number of different games, being able to share that information in a different format, being able to continue to diversify my business, being able to continue to grow the brand, has been really cool. So, but in reality, what does it actually mean? Well, websites are about a lot of manual data input. So I think I spend minimum 15 hours per week doing work on the website, and I've got a team of people that do this, a paid team. So I've got paid article writers, I've got paid developers that develop tools to go onto the website, and all of the earnings for the website can come through either adverts, so like bumper stickers, that type of thing, or through membership on the site. You can see here in the 2 months that we've had, or 2.5 months now that we've been live, we're closing in on 6 million views on the site, which is pretty incredible actually. So it's massively surpassed what I expected. But yeah, you might be interested to just see what sort of income that many views can bring. So the last one then is sponsorships. Now with sponsorships, depending on the size of your channel, depending on the niche that you're working in, you can get all sorts of different offers. I have actually got a company that I work with who kind of vet the initial offers before I even see them. Because originally, probably the first 6 months, I did everything like that myself. You do get a lot of things come through. Most of it is just white noise, trash. Most of it is not even a real company. They're just people trying to scam in some sort of way. And personally, I take a very balanced approach to this because this is your integrity, really. When you're putting out sponsorships, it's the integrity of your channel that you're putting at risk. So I take less than 10% of the things that are offered to me. I prefer long-term offers on games that I think my viewers will like, or games that I genuinely like to play. So I tend to look at 3-month deals with people rather than just a one-off video. Or if it is a one-off video, it's probably just like an integration less than 2 minutes within a video about the content I like to do. I also kind of like the consultative approach. So I've got an arrangement with a company, with a gaming business who are developing their game, where I actually come in as a gaming consultant, help them with the direction of their game, help them with feedback on the things they're doing, and I help to kind of spread the word of what's going on with the game. So if we just flick back a second, time-wise, what we got here? Probably close to 40 hours a week on YouTube, probably 20 hours a week on Twitch. Merchandise doesn't really take up any of my time. Maybe 15 hours a week on a website, and maybe just call it 5 hours a week on a sponsorship deal. So I can easily spend 80 hours a week doing content in these different areas, which is not until I did this, I was actually shocked by the numbers myself, to be honest. So this is probably the juicy part then. So what earnings do you get back for your time? Where does the income come from? And this is my split. So it might be different for other content creators, but this is legitimately my split over the last 3 months. So in terms of cash, for me, YouTube is 2/3 of my income. And it's nearly half of my time. In terms of the cost to run that business, the YouTube business, about 14% of what I earn, I spend. And none of this includes how much I spend in tax, by the way. That's all completely separate. So take another 20% off anything that I'm talking about here. But about 14% of what I earn, I spend in editing costs, general kind of, for me, it's buying things like in-game products so that I can use those in videos. So about 14% of my earnings is cost. Twitch takes up nearly a quarter of my time and gives me a return of about 15% of my income. Twitch is probably, for me, is the biggest shocker in terms of time commitment versus return. And it fluctuates a lot. Twitch fluctuates a lot over the months. You will not have like a consistent income through Twitch unless you become a really big streamer. Merchandise basically makes nothing. Makes nothing. I've spent more than I've made on merchandise in terms of just buying my own merch to wear it and to show it, but it's quite fun. So, you know, if you're going to invest a ton of time into it, just be aware that even if you've got thousands of viewers, don't expect thousands of people to buy merch. I actually thought perhaps they would. They don't. They don't. But it doesn't matter. It's one of those things. It's quite a fun thing to do. It's part of your brand, but don't expect massive paydays from merch. Sponsorships actually come back at 16% of my income for a relatively low time investment. But what tends to happen with sponsorships are you'll get a sponsorship come in. It can be quite a reasonable income for you. However, you might have to, over a short period of time, a burst of time, you might have to invest a lot of time to understand the game you're doing a sponsorship for, or the area of kind of content you're doing sponsorships for. So I guess it fluctuates a lot, but on an average 3-month cycle, it's been 16% of my income. And then the last one, which is probably for me a longer term project, is the website. So the website, in terms of my earnings, 4% of my earnings came from the website, and it was 23% of my time invested. So that's a really poor dynamic. However, the website's a much longer term project for me, and it should get to a point where it doesn't require as much of my time, and it still sits there as a diversified part of my portfolio. Also, it helps drive people to my other content. So it helps people drive people to my YouTube channel, helps people understand I'm a Twitch streamer, helps people see that I've got merchandise. So the website actually pulls all of it together. But I'm sure some of you will be quite surprised by that. So what would I have done differently? What would I do differently if I was starting up again? The first thing is I would just get on and start. I kind of thought about this for a while, and I was talking to my family about it, and I was like, I feel like I might do a video, but I'm not sure how I'd be received. And I spent too long kind of just thinking about it. you know what? You're going to make a ton of mistakes on the first few things you do. Get started, do a few videos on it, and see if you enjoy it. That's the main thing. The second thing is I would get my face on a camera sooner. I took probably, must have been at least 4 months, 5 months before I decided to use a camera, and I had a camera. The reason why I didn't want to do it is because I just felt pretty comfortable not showing my face. I was comfortable. I'm not the most outgoing person in the world, and I got myself into this kind of comfort zone of, well, you know what, it's kind of working without showing my face. The reason why showing your face is important, and there are exceptions to this. Some people do this really well, and they've never been on the camera at all. But generally, people relate to people. So if you can see emotion that people are feeling and feel it yourself, then generally people are going to stay with you and kind of try and ride that roller coaster with you. And that comes down to my last point. Feelings and emotions. Now, you almost need to turbocharge how you feel about something in a video, because I tell you now, if you're feeling really happy and you think you're showing it, you're probably not. You're probably coming across as genuine, like unexcited. And if you're feeling really cross about something, chances are it's not really coming across, because on a camera, it's really hard to display how you actually feel. So when I talk to anybody who's doing content and they ask me for feedback on their first few videos, I generally say, you just need to think about how you're feeling and then times it by 2 or 3 or 5. And just try and do something which is outside of your comfort zone. And I definitely feel like if I watch my early videos compared to now, that's something which I've been better at doing in terms of just like trying to show how I'm actually feeling about something. So they're the 3 things that I would change. Let's just round this up then. What's the takeaways? I guess the biggest one is, don't expect something just to fall into your lap. Don't think that someone else is going to drive your channel for you. You've got to do it. And I mean, I've put in a ton of work, and I still do on a weekly basis to make this happen. Don't feel like this is just going to be a 2-hour-a-week job and you're going to make bank. It's hard work. Make sure that you put the prep time in, know what you're going to do a video about. This video here, I've spent way more time prepping it than I have recording it. And I've probably spent way more time prepping it than I will do editing it. Make sure that you're real. Make sure that you be yourself. Make sure that you come across as a real person, and people will warm to you as a person. So coming back to my original point, if you like the video, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please share it with people that you think will be interested. Let's see if we can blow up YouTube. I've been Hell Hades. I'll catch you later.